JBN, we keep you informed. Gun and lead sheets found in toilet tank in St. James. 2 men arrested. 2 men were yesterday arrested following the seizure of a gun and the several rounds of ammunition in Norwood, St. James. According to the police, about 12:30 p.m., a premises was searched and one Glock 9mm pistol containing 18 rounds of ammunition and 28 lead sheets which were used in lottery scamming were found in a toilet tank. The identities of the 2 men are being withheld pending further investigations, the police said. Relative defends character of Westmoreland man killed by cops. Delroy Papa Moody, a 25-year-old who was shot and killed by the police in Westmoreland on Wednesday, has been described by at least one relative as a good man who was always on the right side of the law. Delroy has always been a good youth, his cousin Melissa Green said. We call him Papa because of his gentleman-like behavior, and he has always been of good character, she stated. He used to work at a call center, but him stopped work for some time now, and none of the family know of him being mixed up in ranks, more so to be involved in armed robbery, Green said. Moody was a passenger in a stolen motor vehicle, which was intercepted by the police. The driver, who the police said is a known troublemaker, escaped. According to reports, about 1 p.m., men went to a section of the Beeston Spring community where they reportedly held up and robbed an elderly man of his Nissan Wing Road motor car. A report was made to the police, who set up a roadblock in Somerville district in the hope of intercepting the men. Shortly after the roadblock was mounted, the vehicle with 2 men on board drove up and the driver was signaled to stop. Instead of stopping, the driver reportedly slammed the vehicle into a police service vehicle, alighted, and began firing shots at the lawmen who returned the fire. The driver escaped. The armed criminal who managed to escape is a known habitual criminal, and we are in search of him as we speak, Superintendent Robert Gordon, the commanding officer for the Westmoreland Police, said. He is known to us for his previous run-ins with the law. We know him, and we want him to know that he has been identified, so he should turn himself in as quickly as possible. Ship workers to return May 6. There is newfound elation for the 43 Jamaican ship workers aboard the Marella Discovery 2. In a matter of days, they will be coming home. According to one of the workers, the group has been advised that they will be leaving London on May 6. It is welcome news for the elderly parents of one of the ship workers. Last night, the retiree mom said she and her husband were overjoyed and already have an idea of the meal they will prepare for their daughter's welcome home. However, with restrictions on gatherings, a desired party has to be put on hold. The mother said that she understands the government's requirement for the ship workers to go into 14-day quarantine when they return home, but that has not cut the joy for her husband, who was glued to the radio every day, awaiting an update on his daughter's return. The issue had been receiving immense public attention since it was reported that the Jamaican ship workers were anchored south of Port Royal in Kingston on April 2, but left a day later after being denied landing. The captain of the ship left for the Dominican Republic after receiving no word from the Jamaican government as to whether the 43 Jamaicans will be granted landing exemption amid the restrictions on incoming passengers as part of the coronavirus containment measures. The Foreign Affairs and National Security Ministries said the captain could not have been guaranteed landing. After disembarking Dominicans in their homeland, the ship went to Portugal, where the workers were refused landing, forcing them to seek docking in England, where they have been for the past few weeks. Ahead of their repatriation, the Jamaicans will be going into isolation today on board another ship in London. The ship workers may be charged a daily rate of $20 during their quarantine in Jamaica. Now, before I go on with the news, Mr. Prime Minister, are the deportees paying for their stay at the Knutsford Court Hotel? Has anybody else paid for their accommodations while in government quarantine? Why are these workers going to be charged? Dexter out. Dancehall artist Dexter Daps, who spent more than 3 weeks in police custody, was released yesterday without charge. The entertainer, whose given name is Louis Anthony Grandison, was held at the Hunts Bay lockup under the state of emergency that is in effect in the St. Andrew South Police Division. But his attorney, Peter Champagne QC, said that he was concerned about the other SOE detainees who have no legal representation. It's really shameful. The process has not been explained to some of them, the QC said. Detainees can be held up to 90 days under the SOE. The hit-making singer was scheduled to go before a tribunal court on Friday, but he was released a day earlier. Dexter Daps was arrested in Seaview Gardens on April 8 by detectives from the St. Andrew South Police Division and the Major Investigations Division. The police reported then that his detention was in relation to an investigation that has been going on for some time. Daps, through his attorney, however, maintained his innocence. Under the Emergency Powers Act, a person detained for 7 days may be detained for a further 7 days on the instruction of a deputy superintendent of police or a higher-ranking officer. However, this period may be extended until the end of the state of emergency if the National Security Ministry grants a detention order. Cop charged for breaching curfew. A Justice of the Peace, JP, who is also a cop, is to face the parish court and possible disciplinary actions within the Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF, for alleged breaches of the Disaster Risk Management Act recently. This reportedly follows a raid on premises in the hills of Mount Pleasant, St. Andrew, after nightly curfew hours began at 6 o'clock on April 25. A team led by a police superintendent reportedly swooped down on premises owned and operated by Leroy Anthony Bennett, a district constable with the Constant Spring Police. According to information received, Bennett was with others at his gambling house located at his residence. The other participants fled when the cops arrived. They ran, leaving the money. When the count was tallied, it was a little over $20,000 that was seized. These people were warned about breaking the curfew, a police source said. A date for the Kingston and the St. Andrew Parish Court is to be decided soon. Internal actions could also be brought against the district constable. A quantity of marijuana was also seized in the operation in Mount Pleasant. Repeated attempts to speak with Bennett proved unsuccessful as calls to his cellular phone went to voicemail recordings. The nightly curfew, which is due to expire on May 31, is part of measures by the Holness administration to disrupt the spread of the novel coronavirus. Meanwhile, the Manchester Parish Court recently ruled in favor of the state in the case of a man who disobeyed police instructions to return home after he was found in a public place outside the hours of the nightly COVID-19 curfew. Ainsley Young was fined $100,000 or 3 months imprisonment for breaching the curfew order, the police reported. Mothers are locked down, closing for 30 days as COVID curfew tightens screws on fast food chains. A reported 70% reduction in business has forced fast food chain Mothers to close its 18 stores island-wide, relieving 900 staff and 200 vendors of their jobs for the next 30 days. It takes effect Saturday. Mothers joined the line of major quick-serve providers that have announced plans to either slash their workforce or reduce in-store hours owing to the economic downturn triggered by the COVID-19. Restaurant Associates Limited RAL, operators of Burger King, Popeyes, and the Little Caesars Pizza on Thursday revealed that it had experienced up to a 50% plunge in sales at its stores as a result of the reduction of in-store hours because of curfew constraints, and will cease operations at the University of the West Indies and the Norman Manley International Airport. The Mother's woes started with the fallout in the tourism industry and the closure of the 10 schools in which it operates as concessionaires, said Richard Foreman, its chairman. That worsened with the lockdown of most business process outsourcing sites, with the curfews proving the tipping point. The nationwide curfew imposed to limit movement and thus curbed the spread of the novel coronavirus was introduced before Easter and is expected to run till May 31. Businesses can operate for only 8 hours from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Jamaica has so far recorded 422 COVID-19 cases and 8 deaths. In addition to the 18 stores, the company will close its 3 retail outlets at Devon House in Kingston. We supply a lot of hotels with parties. Coupled with the curfew restrictions, the situation became unprofitable, Foreman said yesterday evening, adding that he had no quarrel with the government and the precautionary measures. But the Mother's boss said that he had lost up to 20% of his breakfast business as a result of the new times and some 50% of lunch and dinner time traffic in the afternoons. We had a similar fall-off when the curfew time was 8 p.m., Foreman revealed, pointing out that he was no longer able to foot the bill to run the stores. He argued that the safety of his staff was also critical and that he couldn't continue to expose them to the virus. Social distancing became an issue for both staff and our customers, he said. The developments place greater pressure on the Holness administration as it walks a tightrope of public health concerns over rising coronavirus cases while trying to kickstart a stalled economy that has shed tens of thousands of jobs and seen countless businesses shuttered. Business tycoon John Mahfood, who recently published a full-page plea for the reopening of the economy, has commended the government's messaging this week in establishing a recovery task force and muscling through a nationwide works project amid tanking consumption and sagging employment. It's a step in the right direction because up until a couple weeks ago, the focus was totally on the containment of the spread of the virus, and it seemed that the Ministry of Health and Wellness officials believe it was achievable to wipe out the virus, Mahfood said earlier this week. This realization and initial process of opening up the economy in a structured way is a good sign. But that posturing has not apparently staved off job losses. RAS Group Chief Executive Officer Lisa Lake said that it tried to keep its team employed and its doors open for as long as possible. She, however, said in a press statement yesterday that she advised staff yesterday to brace for unavoidable changes amid plunging profits during the months of March and April. Jamaica recorded its first coronavirus case on March 10. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.